Michella Chester here for NCAA Digital. Today I am joined by Jessica Mendoza, a Stanford softball alum, a USA softball gold medalist, and an ESPN analyst. Jessica, you are the epitome of women in sports. I'm going to start from the beginning. How did you get your start into sports?
My dad was a baseball and football coach at a local college. And so there was really no option growing up in the Mendoza household if you were going to play sports. And I mean, I had a ball in my hand the moment that I could pretty much, before I could even walk, and just being on sidelines and in dugouts. And I played everything. I had a ton of energy too. So my parents were like track and field, basketball, volleyball, softball, soccer. I mean, I played everything because they were basically like, let's wear this kid out to be able to get her active with the ball. But anyone who knows it's a kid of a coach, they just, sports all the time, reviewing videotapes, weightlifting regimens. I mean, to have your father as a coach, sports was definitely like the same as like eating dinner every day.
Thinking of that little girl that was you, what do you think that girl yourself would think now or say if she knew that you were going to end up where you are today?
It's funny. I was really uncoordinated as a kid. Like I loved sports and was super active, but it took me a long time to get good. So I think I probably would have said, okay, that's funny. Just because I look at a lot of the like home videos of me playing, I look like Phoebe from Friends running down the first baseline. It's super long, scrawny legs that it just didn't, it was like Bambi kind of style, like just figuring my way out. So yeah, when I was young, I think I never, it was never like the dream of playing in the Olympics or even the dream of going to college at that time. It was more just fun. Like I'm out here because I just really like it. And I think that's important for a lot of kids to remember in anything that they're doing, just make sure you're having fun. Because I think there's more pressures for young kids now to do it for like a bigger goal. Like, oh, we're doing this for a scholarship and you're 8. Or we're doing this because we want you to be a pro athlete and you're 9, instead of just going out there and playing catch and loving it and having a big smile on your face.
Jessica, I struggled a little bit in narrowing down my questions because you have accomplished so much. But starting with your playing days, Stanford, then USA softball, winning a gold medal in the Olympics. What do you think sport has brought to your life?
A ton. I think anyone who's played sports, it's amazing how much it helps you, even further on in life. For me, I think it helped early on a lot with confidence, just like knowing like I got this. And I think playing a sport that has a lot of failure naturally, you're a 300 hitter, you're failing 7 out of 10 times. It's something that's ingrained in how you get back up. So you have to have a lot of confidence. Like if you're, constantly failing in the sport that I was playing, it's not seen as failure. It's actually seen as something to learn from. And that was something I remember just learning early on. And it's still you don't want to strike out, you don't want to get out, but like you definitely have that attitude of like, what did I learn from that at bat? How can I approach the next one? And then when life throws you curveballs and you feel like you're striking out, it it's nothing compared to the brutality sometimes of what sports just gonna like grind you with. So that was huge early. And I would also say the teamwork aspect of just knowing that like to understand people as individuals. I think a lot of times we want to put everyone, especially girls, into one box of this is how and who you're supposed to be. So really just understanding that every female I've ever played with is different and knowing their personality, understanding what makes them tick, what's going to get them going, like how you're going to be able to motivate them, how are you going to get them to like get after it or back down or get up, like all the different things you need to do. And in life, that's the same, is just understanding people and what makes them unique and not try to fit them into a box.
First female broadcaster at the College World Series, then first female commentator for ESPN at a Major League Baseball game, and most recently, first female analyst for a World Series. What does it mean to you to be the first in so many ways and paving the path for so many girls and women who look up to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun ride of this last year to see so many women from, politics to sports, across the board of a lot of firsts. And I'm going to be honest, there's a part of me that's actually disappointed that it has been this long, like there's been a lot of times where personally I'm like, wait, there hasn't been a woman yet. Like, you're, I don't know. I would say for both of you, we grew up where it's like women can do anything. And so to find these barriers that still have yet to be broken, it does kind of dishearten you actually at first that like this wasn't happening in the 80s. Like this didn't happen 30, 40 years ago. So yeah, it is important definitely to be the first and have other girls and honestly fathers that have daughters and men that are out there to see that we talk about women can do anything, but we need to see it. And we need our daughters, we need our sisters, we need our girls out there to see all of the amazing things that you can do as a woman.
Yeah, and I certainly was one that looked up to you for sure. What sort of obstacles would you say that you overcame to get to where you are that people might not see?
I think battling the doubt, there's always, you could say it starts in like middle school, high school, like, are you pretty enough? Are you smart enough? Was never really strong enough because strong wasn't something you were always achieving at a young age, but just that doubt of like, am I good enough? Yeah. And I feel like as women, we carry that at a higher level of just always looking ourselves in the mirror and finding fault versus seeing the strengths. And that's something that I was challenged with, early on going through peer pressures and trying to fit in and then realizing, wait, I actually don't fit in and that's quite fine. Like I'm going to have muscles, like I'm going to be different. I'm going to stand out, and actually standing out is kind of what you want to do. So I learned how to accept that at a younger age. But then when I entered into television and I was in a space where there weren't a lot of women and it was mostly men, the doubt started to come back. Like, you didn't play Major League Baseball. You didn't play in the men's college World Series. How are you calling, the NCAA, finals for the men's college, baseball? And like, there was all these doubters. So we have our own doubt. And then you get all these like voices coming at you. And it's funny because in the beginning, or at least for me, you ignore it because you're like, this is ridiculous. Like, I know I deserve to be here. But at some point, I know for me, I had to challenge myself with really, truly believing that I belonged, of knowing that it didn't matter who came at me if I believed that I belonged. And I think we all know that those insecurities will rise up. If someone says something, we get more defensive if we're insecure with it. And so it has to begin with us in believing that we're smart, strong, beautiful, that we can take on anything. And I got to a point where I was like, look, I played softball at the highest level. I come from a background of baseball. And the men that I work with in softball all played baseball and could do softball. Like, I know I belong here and I know that I can do this. But it definitely took some bumps in the road to get to that point.
I'm sure. February 3rd is National Women and Girls in Sports Day. What is something that you would say the average person can do to help? And why did you get involved with the Women's Sports Foundation?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Billie Jean King founded the Women's Sports Foundation back in the 70s. And it is so crucial, I think, for every family to understand, first of all, Title IX and what that means. And not just by reading a news clip, but actually going and reading the language of gender discrimination, especially when it comes to education and specifically sports, and not be afraid to ask for equality. It is something that should be at this point, but it's not. And the reason I'm very grateful for the Women's Sports Foundation is it just brings light to the discrepancies that are out there. The fact that there are so many girls that don't have the same opportunities as boys. And even though, I love it because it was 1 in 27 girls had the opportunity to play sports back in the 70s when Billie Jean started the foundation. Now it's 1 in 3. And Billie's first response to that is, well, let's get the other 2. Like, what are we doing? Let's go, And that's the truth. Like, we've come so far, but it doesn't mean that we stop here. So that's my biggest thing for Girls and Women in Sports Day is we should have this every day, but also to bring light for the families, the institutions. Go ahead and call your local, if it's your junior high, if it's your high school, college, and say, why does the men's baseball team have a giant scoreboard and the girls are still playing on the sandlot? What are we doing here about Title IX? And you can do it in an educational, diplomatic way. You don't have to be burning bras and yelling at the top of your lungs, just more in educating people of this is where we're at today, and we can be so much further along so that every girl has the same opportunities as boys.
That's great. And Jessica, this might be a hard one to hit you with on the spot, but if you could pick, what are you most proud of from your entire career in softball and now as an analyst?
Really? Hello, we're gonna go there.
I'm gonna go there. I've got to know.
Gosh, that is hard. I mean, I hate being cliche, but like what definitely comes top of my mind absolutely is a gold medal. I mean, I feel grateful to have different things that I've been a part of with television and with covering the World Series, and trust me, those were some amazing experiences. But I've always been a very proud person of the country we come from, and to experience the Olympic Games and live in an Olympic village with 10,000 athletes that have more countries represented than the United Nations, to sit from athletes from Iraq and Pakistan and Egypt and Africa, and I mean, so many different parts of our world, and to get an understanding of what it's like to be from the USA that's across your chest. It's icing on the cake to win gold and have your national anthem played. But that moment for me, the entire Olympic experience, but then to also have that moment of the flag being raised and the anthem, and just knowing what got you here. And this is a pretty cool country to get you there.
Yes, absolutely. I'll leave you with this last question. Do you have a parting message, or what advice would you give to little girls or even women in sports today?
What I shared on earlier as far as standing out, I feel like this is a world a lot of times through social media or something you're watching on TV that wants you to fit in, wants you to look a certain way, act a certain way. I encourage girls to find what it is about you that makes you unique. What makes you different? What allows you to stand out? Because that's what's going to get you to be that next level of success. If you fit in and blend like everybody else, you're never actually going to get to that point where you set yourself apart. So embrace what makes you different. Stop trying to fit in, and make sure you go and stand out.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate your time and your very busy schedule. It was an honor to be with you today.
Yeah, no, thank you.